A WWE star announces their retirement. A TNA star appears at an NXT live event. Could pro wrestling be heading to the Las Vegas sphere? And a major UFC star wants a WWE crossover. Hello and welcome to the Solo Sunday News here. Myself, Andrew Pollard at What Culture Wrestling. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I hope your weekend is going as well as it possibly can do. Right, let's get into some wrestling chatter and let's start with the retirement of Meiko Satomura. Yes, one of the greatest of her time, the real final boss, has recently announced her retirement. This comes as WWE tours Japan over the past week or so, really. The news first coming from Tokyo Sports. They reported that Meiko will be retiring. She has since done a press conference herself to confirm this, which will bring an end to her career after 30 years. Now, Meiko Satomura debuted in April of 1995. She's announced that she'll be officially retiring in April 2025. So that's a 30-year career. Just a proper game changer, really. Meiko Satomura, like I said, one of the greats of her time, just such an influential figure in professional wrestling. I think maybe newer audiences don't appreciate the impact that Meiko's had on the business, but yeah, this is a very important figure in professional wrestling history. On this retirement, Fightful's Corey Brennan has reported that those within NXT were not surprised by this news, because let's face it, Meiko Satomura has barely been used across the past, 18 months or so. In fact, her last NXT match was back at Roadblock in March 2023, where she lost against Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, this Fightful report notes that Meiko's not actually been at any NXT TV taping since Roadblock, nor has she been at the WWE Performance Center, because she was working as a coach as well. She is working as a coach in WWE, has worked as a coach in NXT UK, and then more recently in NXT, the main NXT, because NXT UK is no more. Those who have worked with Meiko in NXT and in NXT UK have nothing but praise for her, but it's believed that she will not be brought back to TV before this retirement, and there's no sort of, WrestleMania swan song, as some people might speculate of a WrestleMania farewell. That seems very doubtful, should we say, at this point. Now, the main focus of Meiko Satomura at the moment is on her Sendai Girls promotion in Japan, and her final run will take place in Japan rather than in the US, although it's not totally ruled out that, she could wrestle in the US again for WWE before all is said and done. In fact, she's actually been in action this weekend. As mentioned, WWE has been touring Japan. Meiko was in tag team action, 8-woman tag team action on Thursday and Friday, both times where she's teamed with Bayley, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, to pick up wins over Damage Control and Tiffany Stratton. Then, last night, she challenged for Bayley's WWE Women's Championship unsuccessfully in what I would imagine would be a very, very good match, because two exceptional talents there. That was in Tokyo. I saw some clips online of it, and it just seemed like the crowd was having a great time. Obviously, it's quite an emotional moment as well. So yeah, Meiko Satomura will head off into the sunset in April 2025. Like I said, one of the greats, truly one of the greats. Very probably, I'd say, underappreciated, undervalued, but yeah, it cannot be reiterated how much of an impact Meiko Satomura has had on the professional wrestling business that we see today. Now, what we did see, if you were in Davenport, Florida over the weekend, somebody said his name, and yes, he did appear. Yes, NXT were running Davenport, Florida over the weekend, and it was Mark Coffey. No, it wasn't. It was Joe Coffey against Shiloh Hill, which ended in DQ, which kind of led to the Gallus boys, and there was Javon Evans as well there. And then Mark Coffey made the mistake of saying the name Joe Hendry. I would clap, but it will not pick up on the mic, so I will just... There we go. There's a little fake clap there. But yes, Joe Hendry appeared. They actually lost. It was a 6-man match. Gallus were victorious in this. I'm not sure who took the pinfall. I can't find any details on that, but I'm going to presume, as it's Javon Evans, one of the hottest rising stars in NXT, and Joe Hendry, one of the hottest stars in the industry right now, I'm going to presume, go out on a limb, say it's probably Shiloh Hill that took the loss here. But yes, this continues on the relationship between WWE, NXT, and TNA. Yes, Joe Hendry, he is the talk of the town, and it's great to see, man. Obviously, we have a lot of history with Joe Hendry here at What Culture Wrestling, going back to the WCPW days, former WCPW champion. So yeah, it's good to see Joe Hendry getting the spotlight and attention that he deserves, because the dude has put the graft in, man, over the years, and just a genuinely, it's not just a gimmick. While some people will just dismiss it as a gimmick that's going to, will just fade away over time. But no, the dude can work. Just a great wrestler, amateur background as well. Joe Hendry is the full package. And the sky seems to be the limit. He is, of course, going to be appearing on the Great American Bash Night 1 this coming Tuesday, where he will be in concert, live performance from Joe Hendry. So that promises to be something fun. Joe Hendry always delivers the goods, and we'll see what he delivers on Tuesday. But yeah, this is It's a really cool time in professional wrestling because just there's a fluidity amongst pretty much every promotion. There's no promotion is rigid in terms of like, nope, we're not using other talent, you're not using our talent. It's just like a rare time where obviously AEW works with everybody, New Japan Pro Wrestling works with everybody more or less. Yeah, there's the AAA and CMLL beef that will never go away. That's something to keep in mind. But now you've got WWE working with TNA. Joe Hendry is a very big part of that, and rightly so, because you look at the social media numbers that he does, and they are huge compared to other similar content. We've also had Jordan Grace, of course, step through into WWE to NXT. Frankie Kazarian's popped up. Then the other way around, you're Tatum Paxley, go to TNA. Izzy Dame, no, that's easy for me to say on a Sunday when I'm caffeinated. No quarter catch crew. Yes, Charlie Dempsey and his boys as well have popped up in TNA. So yeah, this is just a fun one to keep an eye on, man. And obviously it makes sense if Joe Hendry can get to a live event on the weekend before he's on TV doing a live concert for you. It makes sense to do that, get some hype, get some attention. And again, this morning I woke up and it's like, why is Joe Hendry trending? Why is Joe Hendry trending on X? And it's like, oh, because of course somebody said his name and he appeared in Davenport, Florida. Right, could wrestling be appearing in Las Vegas's The Sphere? Possibly. This is a report from Fightful that notes that multiple companies have interest in running the Las Vegas Sphere. Now, this wouldn't be until at least 2025, so there'd be no plans for anything to happen this year. Now, the Sphere opened last September, I believe it was. Immediately became one of the hottest venues on the planet with the unique setup, literally the sphere shape of it, the fancy colors and changes from the outside, the sound system, the video stuff, the general aura of the place is just, marks it out as a big deal. Now, Fightful doesn't give any specifics on the companies who have reached out and inquired about running the Sphere, but it's kind of, it's pretty easy to guess which companies it would have been just because of the sheer status of the venue, the status of the company that would be needed to run that, the audience that you'd need to run that. And now it's not a huge venue in terms of like, you're not talking like 80,000. I believe it's some like 20,000, 18,000. But it's just in terms of like you need some big name value to be able to go to a venue like the Sphere. So you're probably realistically looking at WWE and AEW. That's just me spitballing, but it's kind of, I don't think, Billy Corgan and the NWA, for example, aren't going to be trying to run Las Vegas Sphere. I made myself chuckle there. Oh man, Billy, what did you do to my boy? R.I.P. the NWA. Man, it was such a good run for a spell. A couple of years there when Power first launched. Nick Aldis is the national treasure, the world champion. You had an up-and-coming Ricky Starks. You had L.A. Knight, Eli Drake. Yes, you had James Storm the Cowboy. You had Eddie Kingston. You had Thunder Rosa, who had such an aura to her. The only person that had music, she came out in a leather jacket. You had Alison Kay. You had Serena Deeb. It was a good old time. I'm getting all starry-eyed. Anyway, back to the Sphere. Which the NWA will not be running, unfortunately, or probably fortunately, to be fair, given the state of it these days. But yes, when you look at the companies that could run the Sphere, and maybe next year, I mean, WWE already has a massive event in Las Vegas in April, which is known as WrestleMania 41. As for AEW, now we've said that Double or Nothing, which is in May, obviously, so a month after WrestleMania. It was reports recently that AEW might be looking to run somewhere different to the MGM Grand in like another Vegas venue that isn't the Grand. Or there's also speculation that they might run completely different areas, like as in just, no, we're not going to do Double or Nothing in Vegas because WrestleMania is a month before. So you don't want to, I mean, if wrestling fans have paid a whole lot of money to go to one event in Vegas, a massive event in Vegas the month before, how many of them are going to be willing to then pay money to go to an event the following month in the same place? Obviously, it's not exactly the same fan base, but yeah, that's just a question to keep in mind there. Also worth noting as well that UFC 306 will be taking place from the Sphere in September. Of course, UFC these days is WWE's sister company under the TKO banner. Now, looking at the Sphere so far, I mean, the Eagles have played there. There's been a few contests. There's a little tie with F1. And somewhat bafflingly, there was a 40-date U2 residency there, which to me just sounds absolutely painful. No, thank you. But I did mention UFC in this last story. We are going to wrap up with a UFC favorite. There will be no spoilers from UFC 304, which took place last night from the Cove Arena in Manchester, in the UK. But Paddy Pimblett, who was in action last night, again, no spoilers. He was facing Bobby Green. That is all I'm going to say. But he has talked about how he has interest in working with WWE. WWE. Now, as he was promoting UFC 304, he spoke to The Zone, who basically, Paddy said, like, yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. He did. Unfortunately, Paddy, I mean, come on, man. I'm sat here, literally, there's a picture of Bret Hart right there across from me behind the camera. And he's going to mention that Shawn Michaels is his favorite wrestler. Like, come on, dude. Come on. I will never get over it. I will not let it go. But anyway, what Paddy said when he spoke to The Zone was, yeah, I've thought about that, to be honest, in terms of, joining WWE. I have, because I used to love the WWE growing up. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, is my favorite fighter. I'd love to sweet chin music, someone in the cage in the UFC. D-Generation X, when I was even younger, X-Pac was my favorite. I'll give you that one. I do like a bit of X-Pac. So yeah, I would. WWE pays big money as well, and you've got to have a character. You've got to have a personality, and I've got a personality, so it would work. So yeah, Triple H, if you ever wanted to sign me up, just let me know. I'll make an appearance for some cash. So yes, Paddy, you sausage. Daft. I'm one of them with Paddy Pimblett. I'm kind of on the fence for him. Obviously, he made a mark in UFC. It was some impressive wins. Clearly, as you mentioned there, he's got a lot of personality. There is a great character there. But then it just became, I don't know, there's like a few press conferences where it kind of like, he soured me a little bit, where it's like, I know, you're talking trash to hype the fight and whatever, but then there was just one or two where it's like, nah, you've really crossed a bit of a line there, man. And then there was, for those in the UK, there's a documentary series on the BBC. I think it's on BBC iPlayer at the moment, which is focusing on, I think it's 8 episodes focusing on Paddy and his pal, Molly Meatball McCann. And I don't know, it kind of like turned me off from a little bit. Molly comes across really well, but there's bits with Paddy where you're thinking, bit of a helmet there, lad. But yes, anyway, again, no spoilers on what happened last night at UFC 304, but Paddy the Baddy Pimblett has interest in WWE, and we'll see if that leads to anything down the line, because there's definitely some plus points for Paddy in WWE. So let's see if that leads to anything down the line. Right, that's been it for the Solo Sunday news here at What Culture Wrestling. As Phil Chambers would say, continue your YouTube journey by clicking on one of these fine videos here. I will not be back next week because I'm off to a wedding, which I'm somehow officiating, and then the following week I'm watching Sleeper, so you'll be missing me for 2 weeks, but have a great time in between. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will catch you in a few weeks.